Moving to a third panelist, Miss Asna Moazzam Khan. Asna is the founder of EARTH, that full forms to Architecture, Research and Design, a sustainable design initiative which relatively combines traditional architecture along with modern technology. With many accomplishments under her belt, I will invite her to speak more about her journey on its own. Over to you, Asna.
Hi, everybody. So let me just share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, it's there. It's visible.
So I'll begin with a more personal introduction about myself. I am Asna Moazzam, and I was born in India in Hyderabad, and I've lived all my life in the UAE. So I come from a time when most part of UAE, or rather Dubai, was a desert, and you could actually spot camels on the highway. So coming from that, you can assess how old I might be. So looks can be very deceiving. Now, coming to my introduction in terms of what I do professionally, I am the founder of EARTH. EARTH is basically reviving vernacular architecture in a contemporary context here in the UAE. Now, I'll explain more about this as we go through our presentation, because these terms can be very complex for those who are hearing them for the first time. Also, I am an associate architect with DesignAware. DesignAware is an experimental design studio which aims to spread awareness through livable, wearable, and accessible design. And it's an award-winning studio. You can get more information about it on our website. Coming to a bit of my journey, so I'll skip through very quickly. Now, I started off in 2007, and I basically worked a few jobs as a junior architect. And eventually, I got my dream job, so to speak, at that time, in Jacobs Engineering. Now, Jacobs Engineering at that time, it's an American firm, and at that time it had about 56,000 employees all over the world, and I got to be a part of it. And starting out as a junior architect, within about 1.5 years, I found myself leading a team of 20 people across 4 departments: MEP engineers, structural engineers, architects, the whole works. And I was leading all of them towards our green building project for a government entity in the city of Abu Dhabi. So at that time, I was just about 27, and I was leading a team of 20 people who were way older to me. So it was very difficult to, for people to take you seriously when you're that young. And I was one of the youngest managers in Jacobs worldwide at that time. So it was challenging, it was fun, and I successfully completed the green building design. And it was one of the feathers in the cap of my career. So now, what is a green building, you might ask, and how does it contribute to the green economy? So the objective of a green building is to reduce the carbon footprint, not just during construction, but also throughout the lifespan of a building. So now during construction, what do? You use materials, right? So instead of using concrete, you use, say, fly ash bricks. Now, fly ash is a residue from industries that use coal as a fuel. And in India, we have about 72%, industries that use coal as a fuel. So imagine the amount of fly ash we produce, and imagine the amount of bricks we can make out of them, rather than going energy intensive with concrete. So this is one small example. Another example, I could go on for hours on this topic, but to keep it very simple, you could have roof gardens, to reduce heat gain into your building. You could have passive cooling techniques to allow ventilation so that you use less energy, lesser fans, lesser air conditioners, so on and so forth. And low flow water faucets. You can have solar panels, gray water, recycling, rainwater harvesting. Very many things you can do that. So how do we know whether a building is green or how green it is? So I'm not sure, but many of you might have heard of this LEED, L-E-E-D, which is an abbreviation for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. Now, LEED is basically a worldwide recognized certification for green buildings. So if you design a green building and you follow the codes of LEED, firstly, you need to be a LEED architect. You need to study their course, pass their exam to become a LEED architect. and then you design a building, and they decide what rating to give to your building based on the features you have incorporated. So you could be silver rated, you could be gold rated, you could be platinum rated. This is just an example of the Salt Lake Library in Utah, and I really love this project. So, and yeah, India has about 1,400 LEED certified buildings already, and a majority of them are in Maharashtra. So this is one piece of information. Now, having completed, degree in building and working out of a corporate for several years, I kind of realized that I need to do something new. I need to explore something that hasn't been done before. And I wanted to do something with natural materials, which has always been my drive, even when I was studying at university. So now, what does vernacular architecture mean? Now, vernacular architecture is nothing but use of natural materials that are locally available in order to build a structure. So that's what it simply means. Now, there's few examples of vernacular architecture. To the right, you see the Manhattan of the desert. This is my favorite, which is in Shibam in Yemen. Now, these are the first skyscrapers that were built ever. And they were built 500 years ago, and they still exist today, and people are still living in them. And they have been made with mud bricks and wood, and they still stand today, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So I don't know who came along the way somewhere and said that, we have to switch to concrete because maybe it was, commercially viable for them to make some money. So somewhere around the line, we kind of stopped believing in natural materials. And at this point, I would like to highlight that the lifespan of concrete is about 70 years. And the lifespan of mud brick, as you can see, is already crossed 500 years. So which is stronger? It's something to think about. Here you see bamboo homes to the left. This is the work of Elora Hadi. She's my favorite when it comes to bamboo homes. And she works out of Bali. And she started the movement called Ibuku, IBUKU. Ibuku, and you could actually attend her workshops and learn how to build these structures yourself, even if you're from a non-technical background. And bamboo, by the way, has a higher tensile strength than steel. You can go several floors up with bamboo. So this is another information about natural material for you. And now from where I live, basically, I live in Dubai currently. So as you know, Dubai skyline, it's a very dominant skyline with alluring skyscrapers. And for me to actually find something to do with vernacular architecture and natural materials was very tough. So I took a sabbatical of 1 year and I decided to explore. And what I found was in the pre-oil era, before the 1970, when oil was discovered in the UAE, people would actually live in date palm houses that were made with date palm midribs. These are dried leaves of date, which actually fall off the trees in summer. So they use them and they built houses. And this was the main thing before the concrete jungle started. So I took a sabbatical. I went into the inlands of small little towns and villages in the UAE and saw remnants of old Arish structures. Arish is the term for date palm houses. This is the term that I'll be using throughout my lectures. So this was my journey. And these are the scenes you will see not in Dubai. These are way inland in the desert. And excuse the fashion sense. But yeah, this was a fun exploration for me for 1 year where I did what I loved. And so coming to Arish, if you see, this is 1950. This is what Dubai looked like, if you can imagine. And these are Arish huts. Arish is date palm, like I said. So they were typically huts, yeah. And this is what people lived in. That's it. And this is 1950. And this is what a typical village looked like, or a community. You didn't have more than 10, 15 families living together. And they made these boundary walls out of the date palm midribs. And of course, there would be smaller structures within these. So this is what, so when you have very, very limited resources, just a vast expanse of desert and nothing but a few date palm trees at your disposal, you make use of every part of that date palm tree. So that's what they did. So they made houses out of those dried date palm leaves. It might surprise you that UAE, United Arab Emirates, as of today, has 42 million date palm trees, and each tree sheds about 10 leaves each year. So that leaves about 420 420 million date palm leaves that go to landfills each year. So that's pretty sad. This material that could have been used is not being used today, because obviously, if you ask somebody to live in a hut today, they're not going to do that. So the idea was to revive this in a contemporary context. So these are some of the Bedouin tribe ladies. You'll not see them in the city. They're dressed in their tribal way. They have these, sand guards on their faces. So this is what they would wear in the olden days to protect themselves from the sand and the wind blowing in the desert. And these are people who have actually lived in Arish houses when they were little, and they basically have experienced themselves building these when they were children. So very few people are remaining who are Arish masters or who have some knowledge of living in these structures, because they've got completely wiped out. The one on the left, the image on the left is actually a bamboo structure, not an Arish structure. We were just cross-learning through a workshop in UAE. This is just a small interaction of mine with a Bedouin lady, and with my broken Arabic. I don't speak Arabic, so I'm trying to communicate with her via a translator in the middle, trying to understand what they did. So just a little video here for you to make it interesting. Are you able to hear?
Yes.
وضع لواء حق الصيف وقت عريش ما في براجيل
انا داخل براجيل is a tower. Yeah,
this one in براجيل
and it's for the air to come inside.
Yeah, to air come. لا في البيوت
but ما في عريش in Liva we don't have براجيل. بس عريش
ما في براجيل
في Liva.
وفي العرش.
So this was actually a year-long process of meeting people, interviewing people, learning from them. And these are the two slides which I'm going to skip. This is information for somebody who needs them. This is an excerpt from the book called Arish Palm Leaf Architecture, which is the only book which talks about the history of Arish, and it's by Dr. Sandra Pisek, and it's an informating book. You can look it up on Google. So after having done that, my explorations and everything, I decided that I need to do something about it. So I started Ard. Ard means earth in Arabic, and it is basically a design initiative that I founded, which raises awareness about the disappearing building craft of Arish architecture. And it not just raises awareness, it talks about how to revive this in a modern context. Because if you ask somebody to live in a hut today, they're not going to do that. You need to find a new use for this material, or else the craft slowly dies. So I started my awareness talks. This was one of my talks at the Green Cities workshop for students, organized by the Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi. This was, again, I got a Bedouin lady on board for one of my talks at Al Sarkal Avenue, which is actually a platform which hosts educators. And this was attended by a lot of professionals, architects, designers, professors, environmentalists, whole lot of works, and it was a very fun session. And this is again the lady interacting with people here, and I'm hosting the session. So again, you see that she's wearing the standard, because she lives in the inlands and they still follow the older traditions. This is the older generation.
So Asna, can we conclude that even an artist also contribute somewhere in the design of Earth, the whole platform of making?
Sorry, come again?
I just wanted to ask, do artists also helps in the designing of the architectural platforms where we are talking about?
Yeah, they definitely can, because, you could make sculptures out of natural materials. You could do a whole lot of stuff. So artists are definitely required at every front. So yes, definitely. And when it comes to, especially with natural materials, you don't necessarily always have to be of a technical background. So I'll speak about that towards the end of my slide. You could actually take part in these workshops, earth building workshops, bamboo workshops, which are conducted all over India. And you don't necessarily need to be of a technical background. This you could do for your own interest. And these workshops are rather fun. And I have a link which I'll share towards the end so people can access them. So this was one of my, this was the cherry on top for me when I was invited by the government of Dubai. Surprisingly, one fine day I get a call and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? Did I do something? So this is the Executive Council of Dubai. And basically it means it is the office of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who is the ruler of Dubai. And I was invited there to address the strategy department and speak about what I do. So this was fun. And so yeah, we created awareness. We created, we did a lot of talks. And all said and done, it was time to walk the talk. Like, okay, I kept talking about, okay, we need to revive this in a new context, but how? So there are a lot of design explorations done. This was a fractals workshop conducted by DesignAware, and this was led by the director of DesignAware, Tabbir Fatima, who I work with. And this was, in architecture, we first start by modeling at a smaller scale, and then we make something large size. So the smaller scale helps to understand what's the size, what's the scale, etc. So these are students exploring with a representative material. And this was translated in bamboo because this was done in India. This was done at Vellore Institute of Technology. And these were some explorations and designs that the students came up with. Now, going on, we went on and did the same workshop in Dubai. And here, again, students used representative material and came up with various designs, representative material of Arish. So here, they could actually build these in date palm if they wanted to. And this was done at Dubai Design Week. It was co-curated by Ard and alongside DesignAware, who hosted it. So these are some of the results of the workshop. And eventually, finally, for the Dubai Design Week 2018, lo and behold, the first parametric installation ever in Arish was born. And this was just a representation of the possibilities of this material. And this was never done before. People had just seen huts so far, and that too in the 60s. And this was the first time that this was revived, revamped. So there's a whole lot of things you could do with this. You don't just need to have an installation. It could be, car park shades in interesting digital designs. It could be gazebos. It could be huge pavilions. You could make outdoor structures. There are very many things that you could do with this material. Rather than throwing the 420 million date palm leaves into landfills, it could be incorporated at an urban level so that people know their roots and they know where they're coming from, the people of Dubai, I mean. So they should be able to connect. And the same design was replicated. It's the VVEX 1.2 at Hyderabad Design Week. But this time we did it in bamboo because bamboo is vernacular to India. So we
It's
did the
3
same
o'clock.
thing. And this was kept at one of the crossroads in Hyderabad. This is just experimenting how bendy the material is. So this is the helix. And this was also a parametric installation in bamboo at Hyderabad Design Week in 2019. And excuse me, some technical courses. Of course, you need to be a bachelor's in architecture. You need to do a BR to go. So firstly, I'm talking about the corporate route. If you need to take that, you need to have, of course, a degree. And in the post-graduation program, you could do a master's in sustainable design of the built environment, MSc in sustainable architecture studies. These are more or less the same things. And they just, depending on which university you take the course, it will be slightly different. And certifications, you need to be a LEED certified architect if you want to design a green building for it to be LEED certified. If you don't want it to be LEED certified and you just want to design a green building, you could do a bachelor's and a master's because a lot of people just do a bachelor's and then they do a LEED certification and also end up becoming LEED certified architects who design green buildings. So, and also non-technical background, if you want to explore natural materials or vernacular architecture, there are a lot of earth building and bamboo workshops in India. And I've left a link here. You could actually, see the information there of where these workshops are held. And even if you're non-technical, you could take part in these. And these are very informative workshops. So I leave you with this thought. And And I hope this was informative, and I tried to compress it as much as possible. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Actually, I would really love to just say that we are actually kind of jealous that we are seeing all these structures and we have barely seen any of them in real life. So thank you, Asna, for all that presentation and the beautiful myriad of pictures.